A 30-year-old man presents himself with chronic cough, dyspnea, anorexia, and weight loss. He developed these symptoms gradually over last few years. His busy primary care physician, after a brief history taking, examined him and came to a probable diagnosis of pulmonary tuberculosis. He prescribed a number of tests, including a chest X-ray. Only if he had asked this patient, who was a farmer, one simple question, "What exactly is the nature of your work?" the doctor would have arrived at an accurate diagnosis of a clinical syndrome called farmer's lung, a type of hypersensitivity pneumonitis. Effective history taking has long been identified as a core discipline in treating patients. Spending more time compiling a good patient history provides more benefits as compared to long physical examinations and expensive laboratory tests. Collecting an incomplete history can affect initial therapy and all subsequent decisions for treatment. Therefore, it is essential that primary care physicians ensure that neither the patient nor the health system is unduly burdened by deficient history taking. Even with technological advances, the patient-doctor bond has remained the most integral part of effective history taking. Primary care providers and family physicians can play an important role improving the recognition of occupational disease, preventing progressive illness and disability in their own patients, and contributing to the protection of other workers who are similarly exposed. This role can be maximized if physicians raise their level of suspicion for workplace disease, develop skills in taking occupational histories, and also learn basics of advising prevention. World Health Organization calls farming or agriculture as one of the most hazardous occupations. This model of ESET distance learning program for basic occupational health service for primary care providers is on agriculture. The term agriculture is generally used in a broad sense to include all activities directly related to cultivating, growing, harvesting, and primary processing of agricultural products, animal and livestock breeding, and also aquaculture and agroforestry. Since our independence, India has made immense progress towards food security. Indian population has tripled since independence, but food grain production has more than quadrupled. There has been a substantial increase in available food grain per capita. Half of the total world labor force is engaged in agricultural production. 60% of them are working in developing countries and more 60% in India. Today, India ranks second worldwide in farm output. Agriculture and allied sectors like forestry and fisheries accounted for about 15% of GDP. India is the world's largest producer of many fresh fruits and vegetables, milk, major spices, select fibrous crops such as jute, millets, and castor oil seeds. India is the second largest producer of wheat and rice and the seventh largest agricultural exporter worldwide. Agricultural labor in India fall broadly into the following four categories. 1. Landless laborers who are attached full-time to landlords. 2. Landless laborers who are personally independent but who work exclusively for others. 3. Petty farmers with tiny bits of land who devote most of their time working for others. And the last, farmers who have economic holdings but who have one or more of their sons and dependents working for other prosperous farmers. Agriculture as a farming system encompasses activities and enterprises directly related to cultivating, growing, harvesting, and primary processing of agricultural products. Cultivation is loosening and breaking up of the soil. The soil around existing plants is cultivated to destroy weeds and promote growth by increasing soil aeration and water infiltration. Soil prepared for the planting of a crop is cultivated by a harrow or a plough. Harvesting is the process of gathering a ripe crop from the fields. Reaping is cutting off the grain or pulse for harvest, typically using a sickle or a ripper. On smaller farms with minimal mechanization, harvesting is the most labor-intensive activity of the growing season. On large mechanized farms, harvesting utilizes the most expensive and sophisticated farm machinery, such as the combine harvester. The term harvesting may also include immediate post-harvest cleaning, sorting, packing, and cooling. The completion of harvesting marks the end of the growing season or the growing cycle for a particular crop. Greenhouse and nursery operations, floriculture, and fruit orchards also come under agriculture. Whatever be the agricultural activity, the characteristics of the work are exposure to climatic conditions while working out in open air, seasonal nature of work, urgent in specific periods, and exposure to dust. Multiple tasks performed by a single person causing variation in working postures and duration of tasks. Exposure to bites, infections, allergies, and other health problems due to contact with animals, plants, and media like soil and water. Contact with toxic chemicals and biological products such as pesticides, rodenticides, fertilizers. Exposure to variety of machines, delay in medical attention, emergency services in time of accidents due to the remoteness of a high percentage of the work sites, increasing the risk of farm-related accidents to children due to proximity of dwellings to the workplace, and high proportion of very young and old workers. The perception of agriculture work is that of a healthy occupation that provides an opportunity for plenty of fresh air and exercise. However, agriculture is prone to a large variety of health problems, and the workers are at high risk for respiratory diseases, skin conditions, particular type of cancers, and many types of injuries. Because of the remote location of farms, as said earlier, emergency health services are not accessible very easily. Hazards related to health and safety are more or less shared by all the activities of farming. The most important aid in diagnosis of an occupationally caused disease is to ask that million-dollar one question to the patient: what exactly is the nature of your work? This one query can help doctors in differential diagnosis. Let us now review health hazards of the agricultural workers with their causative sources in the work and manifestations. Respiratory conditions include asthma and rhinitis, which are due to immunoglobulin E-mediated asthma, for which the causative source is cereal grain pollen, livestock dander, and fungal antigens in grain dust